The waiver trade deadline is no longer a thing, but multiple pieces of MLB history were forged on that very transaction type, with some of the most influential trades of the last couple decades coming in the form of a waiver claim trade. In this video, we're turning the clock back to the top 5 waiver wire trades in MLB history. If you guys go on to like this video, I would appreciate a like down below. And if you continue to enjoy my content, consider subscribing as it would help me out a ton. Now, with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. In 1992, the New York Mets were struggling bad, and as a result, were looking to deal their star starting pitcher, Dave Cone, who was pitching to a 2.81 ERA with an ERA plus of 122. They waited till after the trade deadline, and on August 27, 1992, following the Mets posting a record of 56 and 67 and being 14 games behind the first place Pirates at the time, the Mets sent him to the Blue Jays. The trade sent Mr. Consistent Jeff Kent, who was just 24 at the time, to New York alongside Ryan Thompson, an outfield prospect. At the time of the trade, Cone was leading the National League in strikeouts and was trying to do so for the third consecutive season. Cone had to waive his no-trade clause for the trade to occur.
For the 4th year in a row, Jays manager Pat Gillick has made another trade in the stretch drive. Gillick sent rookie Jeff Kent and a player to be named later to the New York Mets for pitcher David Cone. The Jays are hoping that this will not turn into another Tom Candiotti situation where they lose him to free agency at the end of the year. They'd like to sign Cone to a long-term contract, but for now it's a short-term fix as the Jays solidify their starting rotation.
The righty would go on to continue to dominate following the trade to Toronto. Starting in 7 games and pitching in 8, Cone would post an even better ERA of 2.55 alongside an ERA plus of 161, which led Blue Jays starters for the highest on the season. Cone's dominance would be a key factor to capturing the Blue Jays' first ever World Series win in franchise history in fall of 1992, following a series win over the Atlanta Braves. He started in 2 World Series games in 1992 and posted a 3.48 ERA in 10 1/3 innings of work. Cone would depart Toronto in the offseason of 1992, however, and sign a 3-year, $18 million contract with the Kansas City Royals. Thankfully for Blue Jays fans, though, the team proved that they could win without him and would go back-to-back in 1993, and also the 5 All-Stars that came in Jeff Kent's career all came following his time in New York. As for Cone's strikeout streak in the NL, John Smoltz, who the Blue Jays would defeat in the World Series in 1992, would finish with 215, one more strikeout than Cone had had prior to the trade to the American League. Funnily enough, we're following up the Cone trade with another Blue Jays trade that occurred in August, this time when Jose Bautista was dealt from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Bautista struggled immensely in his early seasons while playing third base, and as a result, it saw him post multiple seasons with an OPS plus under 100. And as a result, when this trade happened on August 21st, 2008, not many people thought much about it. In return, the Pirates received a player to be named later. Robinson Henriquez, a 25-year-old catcher, was named as the player to be named later 4 days after the trade. Henriquez would play a total of 43 games with the Pirates before being released on November 30th, 2009. As for Bautista, he would, as many of you know, revolutionize his career in the following years. In the years following the trade, he would become a 6-time All-Star along with 3 Silver Slugger awards. Joey Bats, as he would come to be called, became a staple of not only the Blue Jays lineup, but the culture they developed alongside guys like Edwin Encarnacion, Kevin Pillar, and Josh Donaldson. He also may have created one of the greatest playoff swings of all time.
You can only flirt with fire for so long, and it's going to burn you. No doubt about it.
Very few times when a player is dealt does the throw-in player in a trade ever amount to much, and I'm sure that is what the Boston Red Sox were thinking when they dealt Jeff Bagwell in a trade that sent Larry Anderson the opposite way on August 30th, 1990.
Here from the fans.
I'm Larry Anderson of the Houston Astros, and I've got some questions that have been puzzling me. Was Robin Hood's mother known as Motherhood? Or why do Slim Chance and Fat Chance mean the same thing? How do you know when you're running out of invisible ink? And a personal favorite, why does sour cream have an expiration date?
Bagwell, at the time of the trade, was not producing home runs in the Red Sox AA affiliate, posting only 4 in 481 at-bats in 1990. Larry Anderson was pitching to a 1.95 ERA with a 2.33 FIP for the Astros at the time, but they were 58 and 72 on the season. Anderson would only pitch 15 appearances for the Red Sox, in which he would record 1 save and a 1.23 ERA in 22 innings. He would end up leaving the Red Sox for the Padres in the offseason that followed the trade. Bagwell, on the other hand, went on to have 15 years of production after winning Rookie of the Year in Houston in 1991. As a result, the GM of the Red Sox at the time, Lou Gorman, spent years trying to defend the trade, saying that the Red Sox had already had Wade Boggs at third and Mo Vaughn at first, so Bagwell was blocked, and that the club had had reassurances from the Players Association that the new pending free agency model would not mess up a deal between Anderson and the franchise. At the time, the Astros allegedly were hesitant on trading for Bagwell because of his sparse home run production, but Houston's New England region scout, Stan Benjamin, chimed in saying that New Britain's Beehive Field, the park where Bagwell played in AA for the Red Sox affiliate, was so large that Babe Ruth couldn't hit home runs in that park. The trade is very often referred to as one of the biggest overpays in trade history, not just waiver trade history. And Jeff Bagwell is held as a baseball legend in Houston and a Hall of Famer in the national spotlight. In 1987, with the Tigers in a 3-teamed race for the AL East division, chasing the Blue Jays for the lead, they looked on the waiver wire for starting pitching acquisitions they could make and came upon Doral Alexander, a righty from the Atlanta Braves who is having a decent season, pitching to a 4.13 ERA in 107 2/3 innings. They would complete a trade for him, sending pitching prospect John Smoltz to Atlanta in the deal.
Well, big guy, a trade by the Braves.
Yeah, it may be the first of many, Ernie. The Braves are starting to tear it apart a little bit so that they can tinker with it and rebuild it. Doyle Alexander, who didn't have a good record but really pitched well for the Braves, has gone to the pennant-contending Detroit Tigers, and the Braves get a youngster just 19 years old, John Smoltz, who had a terrible record this year in AA ball at Glens Falls. He was 4-10, an earned run average of over 5, but he had made the jump from the rookie league. He throws BBs, really throws hard, and everybody in baseball convinced that he's a fine prospect. And I think this may be the first of, I don't know if it's going to be many, but I'll bet there'll be some more before it's over, because the Braves have some players that have value to teams who are in the heat of a pennant race.
Smoltz at the time of the trade was seen as a decent prospect, but having pitched to a 5.68 ERA in 130 innings, spanning 21 starts for the Tigers' AA affiliate Glens Falls Tigers, he was seen as an expendable piece, especially for a starting pitcher in the middle of a division race as they were. Alexander would pitch very well for the Tigers post the trade, posting a 1.53 ERA in 88 1/3 innings, spanning 11 starts, even throwing 3 shutouts. However, he would struggle come the playoffs, giving up 10 earned runs in just 9 innings, and the Tigers lost in the ALCS as a result. He would end up finishing 4th for the AL Cy Young following his strong performance post the trade, and even be an all-star for Detroit come 1988. But the biggest part of the trade, of course, comes from John Smoltz being dealt to the Braves, as he would be a pivotal part of the three-headed monster of a rotation that the Braves would have in their 1990s dominance. Smoltz would post a career 3.26 ERA in 708 career starts, alongside a 66.9 WAR in his 20-year career with Atlanta. He would become a Cy Young Award winner, NLCS MVP, 8-time All-Star, and World Series winner in Atlanta. Trading prospects so early into their career is always a risky thing to do, and Smoltz may be the biggest example of that in Major League history. Justin Verlander's trade to the Astros in 2017 was the last great post-trade deadline acquisition. The Tigers, who are still rebuilding, had finally decided to part with Verlander after the trade deadline in 2017, and as a result, they waived him and dealt him in the following days on August 31st, 2017 for a package of prospects that included Jake Rogers, Daz Cameron, and Franklin Perez. Verlander has become a hero in Houston, becoming a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 3-time All-Star, ALCS MVP, and 2-time World Series champion. He has posted a career 2.48 ERA in 777 innings in Houston as of recording this video on August 5th. Even when he was pulled away from Houston for a larger contract, they would acquire him again, as they did from the New York Mets in 2023. Simply put, Verlander has become the heart and soul of the Houston Astros team that has won on the biggest stages, and as a result, this is, in my opinion, the biggest ever waiver deadline trade. As for the prospects that the Tigers got in return, only one player is still in their organization, Jake Rogers, as their backup catcher. So it's pretty easy to say that the Astros very easily won this trade, no questions asked. The waiver wire was once an integral part of how MLB clubs did their business, and history shows how important it really was. Whether it was a rebuilding team gaining an underperforming prospect in the cases of Houston or Atlanta, or a contending team gaining a star piece to complete their World Series team, such as Toronto or Houston in 2017. These trades are immortalized in MLB history, and as a result, it is fun to go back and review them as the game changes. Thank you guys for watching this video to this point. If you enjoyed it, I would appreciate a like down below, and comment any topics you guys would like to see in the future. Other than that, if you guys could subscribe, I would appreciate it. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the rest of the videos coming soon. Peace.